I'm back, you guys. I come here on the Mondays. We talk about our favorite show from Brookfield, when Hope calls, the When Hope Calls After Show. I'm James Lott Jr., JLJ Media, and I'm being reunited with someone I met in person, actually, at my old studio, which is not there anymore after Buzz TV. My old studio in Studio City here in California. So I get to be reunited with him about another show that we love so much, of course, When Hope Calls. All you hopefuls out there, I know, are waiting for this. He wears many hats. He's like, he's an executive producer, he's a showrunner, he writes, he does all kinds of stuff. But he's been in business for a long time, like I have. And so we're going to talk to him about this season that just aired of When Hope Calls. Help me welcome Alfonso H. Moreno. Hi,
Oh,
Alfonso.
thank you very much, James. I appreciate it. Happy to be here.
My pleasure. So first, so folks at home, the last 5 years, let's say, for example, have been very, very interesting. We've had COVID lockdowns. We had here in America, we had several strikes. Several members of I was on strike. We're on strike. We've had natural disasters. All kinds of things happen, but we got a show out. We had a 6 episode show out because, as you know, Alfonso, in just regular conditions, getting a show out is a miracle. We got a show out. We got a 6 episode
Yes.
show out of
Yes.
the season. So
And
congratulations.
thank you. Thank you. It's quite enjoyable doing it. I tell everyone this is truly a passion project for me because I created it. I love it. The crew, the actors, I mean, it just everything is, works for me. And I really appreciate having the opportunity to do this show.
Well, I know that it's had its own journey, as we
Yes.
know. We had the Christmas specials, we had the original season and stuff. And I know personally, it is a passion project for you. So before we begin to talk the show itself, I just want to find out first of all, how are you doing these days?
I'm doing well. I'm doing very well. Thank you.
Good, good. And what would you say to people who may have a passion project of their own, who are thinking, I want, whether it be a book or a movie or a TV show or an album or something, what would you say to them? Because you're living proof of manifesting something and working towards something that actually is now airing.
I tell people what I tell my kids, which is, that, this industry is really, and I think almost anything in life it's about perseverance, it's about endurance, and it's about grit. It's about being able to endure the trials and tribulations that come with any sort of life, right? You just have to, the key to it is just if you stumble, you get up. If there's any kind of roadblock, you figure it out. You figure it out as you go. But that's really to me uh, sort of the key to any success is just being able to persevere through the times where that are challenging.
Yeah.
And the people who don't persevere are the ones who don't reach those their dreams or their goals because there are always challenges along the road, along the way. So I think that's the key. It's just perseverance and knowing that it that doesn't necessarily come easily or come fast, but it's just being able to again withstand all the different trials and tribulations and seeing it to the end. To me that's been the key.
So for you, because you like me, have been in business for a long time, and you were on other shows like The Practice and NCIS.
Yes, yeah.
You've done a lot of stuff. So like we've done a lot of things. So when did it hit you that was the key? I mean, because like you said, it's not easy because because you have your own dreams. You're trying to work on stuff and things get canceled and stuff. Okay, you know how that goes. So how did you? What did I know? For me, it was about maybe 10 years in. I realized, oh, I got it. It's a wave, and so if I can ride the wave through the top of the wave and the bottom of it, I might be okay. But it took like 10 years later. So I was like, what didn't you kind of figure that out? That was like, oh, I got it. This is how it goes.
I think it's for me. I'm not sure if I ever had that aha moment, but I realized early on that for for me to be successful, I had to be like the hardest working person in the room, right? And then there's like there's no excuse. I mean, you just put nose to the grind. I've always been sort of like this nose to the grindstone, work, and work on weekend. I mean, and that's for me why it was important to do what I love, because if you do what you love and you do it, it's not a chore to be doing it 7 days a week, right? If I weren't working on this show right now, I'd be writing. I'm sort of compelled to just write stories. When I was a little kid, I would just daydream, and people would look at me like, "What are you doing?" I was like, working out stories in my head.
Yes, I'm the same way. No, I agree with you. It's like I love what I do. I mean, yeah. So it's like it's. I feel like it's a calling. So I felt kind of fell into it as a calling. So I was just creative all the time. You know, that's what I love. Whether it's on a hit show or not, like you said, I'm gonna be working on something because that's what we do. That's what we do.
Yeah.
Well, great. Well, you do have a hit show, okay, so Corey. So now going into this season, though, you had pieces of the last season. You have a new season, so you have new ideas, while also keeping the tone of the show. So going into this, when they told you, okay, like, how do they tell you? I think a good question. How do they tell you? They say, "Hi, Alfonso, we're doing 6 episodes. Here you go." Like, how does that work actually for this show?
Well, I was fortunate to have, Bill Abbott has always been a big fan of the show. I mean, when he went over to GAC, I saw an interview that he gave to Deadline Hollywood, and they asked him if he, if he wanted to create I don't remember the exact question, but they said if you want to create a series, what would the series be? Or, what do you see from what you've done, what would you bring back? He said, if there's one series I'd bring back or want to create is this When Hope Calls. So that was like 3 or 4 years ago. So it's always been there as a possibility. And Brad Cravoy is executive producer, and he's been a big champion of it. But initially, when this last year, when they were talking about doing the series, they didn't know if it would be 6, 8, or 10. And so I had to create a version of it. Okay, if it's 6, it'll be this. If it's 8, it'll be this. And if it's going to be 10, it'll be that. And then it wasn't until we were already into the process of producing the show that okay, it's going to be 6. So I had a version of that. But 6 was always going to maybe be the toughest way to go, because what I knew I had to do was, I had this if the series was a ship of season 1, what I had to do is because 4 main actors were leaving, I had to just write that, turn that huge ship in a way, and then create the compelling stories for these new characters. So I definitely wanted to finish telling the story of this romance between our Lillian and Gabriel are. So I wanted to tell that story because I felt the audience would want that and they deserve that. So I wanted to tell that and then also integrate, these new characters, right? And so I knew that in order for the stories to, be compelling, I had to ease that way in. So I started with two of the characters, and then by episode 3, I brought 2 more of the characters. So but it was the short, 6 episodes isn't a lot to sort of tell that and move it. And now we're at, we end the season where we're fully, I believe the audience is now, involved with our, main characters, and they are, they see the dramatic possibilities with all of our romances.
Yeah.
But I had to get there, right? But by the end of episode 6, I think we got there, but it was sort of a quick sort of way to turn the series around.
You did it. You did it. No, I was like, you answered half my questions. I was asking about that because it was very seamless to me. So whatever behind the scenes happened, that's what happened. But on screen, I thought, well, first myself, because I do reviews of the show, I thought well done because it did seamlessly. You bring in Nora, you bring in Michael Fletcher, you're bringing them in as you're saying goodbye to the others, and it seemed very seamless to me. And I was like, it was very clear. The first 2 episodes was like we're saying goodbye. This is kind of we're closing that off, now we got the new team, and that's 4 episodes there. And I was very curious. I mean, when I was watching, I was saying, how do you, because it's like a car's turn radius. I've had cars where the turn radius is not the greatest. You almost get there, you got to stop and go back a little bit, then you got to go, you got to go a little further. And there's some car radius you just turn and everything's fine, right? That's why you're not what you said. I thought about that. It's like you think you can make that turn, but it may be too short or maybe whatever. And I think you guys did a fine job. I mean, I really do think it was literally Gabriel almost, well, he rode off not into the sunset, but it was daytime and the thing was behind it, and he was riding her off to the train station. But it was cute. It was very cute. I thought it was very cute. But no, that was the big thing. I was like, okay, I have 6 episodes. Because like the shorter you get in storytelling, isn't that where the real artistry begins, I guess? You have to really think about it. I mean, will this make sense, right? You think about that?
Yeah, no, that was a challenge. That was given that some series is one character or two characters, I lost a lot. So, and to me, it's a testament of our show because all these actors, of course, the time goes by and COVID now years have gone by, so but they were all being able to go out and have the success, which is fantastic, which is what you want. You want to have people to be successful that are involved with you and your show. So I was very happy for them, but it posed a big challenge. It posed.
You guys did it. You guys really did it. All right, so now you bring in Nora, who's a different type of character, and I talked to Cindy. I get to talk to Cindy. I had her on my show, and she's just hilarious in real life. Like hilarious. She's like really funny in real life. Great presence. She's a name we know, and to have her like come in and show different sides of her. What was the main theme you wanted for her, and did you accomplish that in the?
I did. For her character, I wanted, what was I felt compelling about the first season was that I had these two young women who were in sort of dire straits as children, and they want to like use what they learned, and and have an orphanage that serves the children's needs better than what they grew up in. With this new character, I wanted her to have her own sort of emotional, for lack of a better word, baggage, right, that she has to deal with, right? And for her, this character is like she missed out on her nieces and she feels bad about that. She sees what position they put them in, through no fault of her own, but as a child, she was part of it. So she wants to make amends. She wants to make amends for her, for not being there. Now she's going to be there for these children. So I wanted it. She's a fish out of water, right? And as characters, that's part of what, writers do is, it makes for interesting storytelling, right? She's never been around orphans. She's never been around children. And now she's been put in charge, but she has the right, the attitude and the empathy for these children. So she's going to learn as she goes.
Yeah.
Which I felt made for an interesting character and a different dynamic than we had in the first season.
I agree, and I love that you had those couple of those really emotional scenes between Megan and Cindy's characters.
Yeah.
Before she left, I thought that was very important to you to make sure they had a little.
Absolutely, that they come together and from her aunt's from Lillian's position, that there's forgiveness, that you see that story where initially she's hurt and she doesn't know how to adjust to the new reality, but how they come, that's their arc, that they come together, and that at the very end they're solid and they're close, which I think is important.
Another character that I like, and she's just an enigma to me, Wendy Crewson's character of Tess. We love me some Tess. My only complaint was enough Tess this season. That's the only thing I have to say about that. But I'm sure there's other things that went on. I love Tess. I think.
I'm sorry. What did you say about there was
my only complaint was enough Tess this season.
She had. We were lucky to have her because, when we started going, we didn't have a lot of lead time. Like it was okay. It's going to happen. It's going to happen. It's happening now. Fast, run. It's like from a standstill. You got to. It wasn't. We didn't start with a jog. We started with a sprint.
Yes.
And so a lot of the actors had other commitments. So we had Wendy was shooting something in Ireland at the time. So
Wow.
we had to she had to come, and we only had so many days to to be able to film her. And that's why we she's gone in the for the for the episodes 5 and 6. And what I ended up doing is I shot that last scene where where the gun is brought to her head. Like in episode, I shot it at the end of episode 4 because she was going to be gone in 5 and 6. So we just shot that one scene, and Jesse Hutch, who would play the huntsman, was in that block anyway. So we just shot that scene, and then we put it at the very end.
Yeah, no, we
That,
saw. We'll get to the end of the second. We'll get to the end of the second. I'm a little late. We'll get to the end of the second. I'm like, we have some cliffhangers. No, but I say that with tongue in cheek. I know the actors have other things to do too, of course. But I mean, I like the character. The character Tess is so complex.
yeah,
And the first season, she was so good. The first season was just like she was, and her and Ronnie, they're so different. The guy who plays Ronnie is hilarious and everything. But it's like but Tess just brings such intensity to every scene she's in.
I tell her that. I really appreciate what she brings. I mean, she brings this gravitas to the series, which is, because there's the light, like Ronnie Neal is such a Neil Cronin plays Ronnie is such a just funny guy, right? And then there's the romance, but she just plays this strong woman who has her beliefs, and try as you might to shake her from her belief, she's not, she's set, she knows what she wants, and nothing's going to move her, and she's very strong. So I really love all of those, and I love the fact that she can play this very tough woman, but also you just like her. I mean, you just you see the good in her. She's rough around the edges in some ways, but you just are compelled to watch her, which is what you want from from
Yes.
a character.
And what you created, because I'm torn. I have to tell you, there's one storyline I am torn in a good way. Wyatt and Hannah. Should they just be ranch hand, ranch owner, sibling kind of types, or should they be in a romance?
Yeah.
I go back and forth. I don't know. I don't know. I mean, you did guys such a great job. I said, if I talk to Alfonso, I'm going to tell him. I'm like almost torn because I love their kind of push pull relationship, and
Yeah.
but he cares about that ranch. Like, I mean, it's almost like yeah, I'm torn. So I just want to tell you, I great job creating that whole situation because I'm just for me, I'm torn.
And that's the when Hope calls, when calls hard, there's a lot of romance involved in these series. That's part of what the DNA and what we promise the audience. But there is a lot of fun and beauty to a very slow burn and will they, won't they, as opposed to like, I have these 3 romances going. Well, at least 2 of them are that you see, like one is a faster.
You have three kind of.
Yeah, that's what I want. I want it to be like that the what we see with
Em and Maggie, they're together.
Maggie Parson and Sam, like that's, I knew that would be those our season's romance, right? But you see and then you have our Nora and Michael sort of like
Yeah.
starting to dance. And then you see these others that are Hannah and Wyatt are will they, won't they? And that's what I wanted, sort of that kind of distinction between all 3 uh, couple kind of
Oh, it works. Oh, it totally
dynamic.
works.
Yeah.
Because seriously, I was kind of, I mean, even in episode 6 where but it's like I love when he kind of compliments her, and then she kind of compliments him, and they both kind of playfully about that. Like you could tell you did. Of course, these shows pull tears out of me. I'm telling you, this big strong man, and you have her before she walks in the house, sees her uncle and her as a kid on the porch. I'm like, why you do that? Like, why you do that? Like, why you do that to me? Like, what? I mean, I'm already feeling the emotions, and he pulled that out for a second. I'm like, what a great meeting, what a great choice. I'm joking with that. Obviously, it's a great choice. I was like, oh my goodness, I'm like, now you're gonna pull the tears out of me. Because you really did what you've done with the female characters, even with Lucy and her dad, when they were over that whole shootout stuff
Yeah.
happening, you guys really did a great job with showing that this is the time, this is the 1920s. So men think a certain way, especially back then. But there were women who were also coming out of that a little bit. There's modern time. So how do you guys as writers and showrunners, because it was the same thing with When Calls Heart too. How do you guys kind of balance that out so that it's because it can't be super modern like today because it's not today, but also not be so offensive like how do you
Back
find that
then.
balance? Like how do you find that balance?
Well, I mean, I think for the most part, it's, I approach the series as aspirational. Like, wouldn't it be great? Wouldn't it have been great if? And I think the audience comes to these series with that attitude too. It's like, okay, it wasn't exactly like this, but we're not making something totally up, right? It's just, there's an aspect of wouldn't it have been great if it were the world were like this, like if because obviously the styles are a little bit enhanced, the fashion, the makeup, everything's a little bit
Of course,
enhanced.
of course.
So it's that I approach it from an aspirational standpoint.
Yeah. I always tell people all the time, like we started saying the other show, you want to see what dirty faces, not like the true like was back then. We don't do that. It's like this is television. There's some dramatic license taken when it comes to
Yeah.
television that is okay. But no, I think no, that's what I said. I had a nephew come in who was like 16 and was like, "Oh, okay, what's this?" So he sat, he watched episode 6 with me, which had a lot of action in. Actually, I was like, that's the episode he came in on. Like, which now, okay, so when I was talking to Cindy and Christopher, great twist. So, spoiler alert, folks, you haven't watched the episode. They're on Pure Flix, you can watch it or anything. But no, but the twist that the dog shepherd, that whole sequence, and they talked about how they was choreographed. Great little scene. There we had some action, some shooting, and a knife and a dog, and you threw that all in there. We didn't see that on other shows. I'm like, I like that. That was fun.
I mean, I joke with the producer and the line producer and the directors that they say that when you shoot something, the really challenging things are involving kids and animals. And this series is an orphanage, and we had raccoons, we have
Yes,
horses, we have dogs, and all on this like
yes.
you know small little show that that's shot in a certain we need to shoot it in a certain number of days, but it was a challenge because we have and a donkey. It's like we have a lot of animals, kids, and it's a challenge. It makes for a challenge for the production to pull it off.
I never thought about it. You just said that you have a lot of animals on this season. Like I said, dog, donkey. That's when they gave her that donkey. Oh, that,
Yeah.
I laughed. I did. I thought it was really funny. We don't have any more horses. We have this, and I think that's actually really. So you have there's a good sense of humor on the show too. I like. It's really fun. But no, you have a lot of animals. So actually, on a side note, so you must have a bunch of animal wranglers, trainers. You do actually have you show horses, you show herds, all that stuff. So how do you work all that? Well, that's amazing.
Yeah, no, we have when we have this lease this property from a ranch, and they have like 1,000 cows, so we're able to utilize their cows, which adds a lot of I love looking at that. I mean, I miss Westerns, right? But you just don't see Westerns on TV very much, especially, old, you see
Right.
more modern Westerns on TV
Like
right now than
Yellowstone,
you.
and I get it. That was my show. But yeah, I know what you mean. We don't see the old like this behind me. You don't see all that.
Yeah. So it's really great to shoot. It's really great to watch. And so I really want to put those elements in because I think it adds something, the beauty of this ranch and the horses and we'll get to that scene at the end, which is, in all my years with When Calls the Heart and When Hope Calls, that's like the biggest action scene I think we've ever done, right? And it was literally on the last day of shooting that we shot that.
Well,
And
can you tell people just kind of briefly? I want to tell people not everything is always shot in sequence on television. So when he's mentioning he shot this now, that's a whole other story. Like usually things aren't shot as they go along. Usually it's it can be shot out of sequence or a couple episodes here and like scenes over here. So I just want to make sure we say that's pretty good for you guys. You ever do that?
But what we were, and it was that day, it was going to go really late. It was going to go like in the 2 or 3 in the morning, 4 in the morning. We weren't sure how late, but a snowstorm was coming. So it was like we were looking at the skies. It was literally like you could see the breath. And it was like 18 degrees out there at night. It was cold.
You had a huge cast out there. That's what's so great. I mean, there was I counted at least maybe 10 people were in that scene, those scenes.
Yeah, there was, but some of those were shot earlier. But the horse scene, that very sequence where where the horses come in and the mounties, and that part was shot at the very end. And we were just worried that we were going to be able, if it started snowing, we were going to have a problem because of the, wouldn't match all the other shots that we shot earlier, right? Because of them hanging out or by the, on the stakeout. The stakeout was shot earlier, but the actual.
Okay.
So we'd have to, so it was a little bit of hope and prayer that we were going to make it without the snow. And the very next day, I was leaving, and there was a snowstorm. I mean, so we barely missed it. And I flew out of Toronto, and the next day, all roads into that town were closed because of the snow. So we made it, but by one day.
See, the show's called Hope Calls. So I mean, come on. Come on. It's in the title. It's in the title.
Exactly.
Title. I love that. I love that. No, yeah, that whole sequence because like I said, there were so many different things going on, different groups, and there was some humor in it. There was suspense, and there were horses, and it was as I said, it was to count like 10 people in those scenes, like a lot. I mean, because the whole gang and all, there's a lot of stuff, and like I said, then the cliffhanger in the end was like, wait a minute, because I was like, yeah, didn't they shoot somebody in the arm? And when he looks at the thing, he's like, "There's where's the one? I shot one of these people in the arm." He actually said what I said. I got loud, like, "Did I shoot somebody in the arm?" And I laughed. And then of course goes to the test scene. I was like, "Oh yeah, he came on 3 episodes ago. That's right. He was sitting there. Oh, that's like, oh okay. I like that. I was like, okay."
I worked with Jesse on a Christmas movie called Christmas Blessings, and it was he was great and he played an angel in this movie I wrote, and now he's playing this opposite character.
I love
And
it.
I thought he was great as this huntsman, this nefarious kind of guy.
Oh,
I played it great.
I love it. That was good. So I mean, so with this, we have some cliffhangers. I mean, Nora has something's happening with her. Okay. Oh, before we get there, I want to mention another great character twist was the Dolores twist.
Yeah.
First, we think she's some young girl, but she's a young. Well, compared to us, she's a young girl, right? But I mean, we think she's some really young orphan. She's actually a young adult.
Yeah.
You gave us a little clue that we look at the picture, and it turns it over. But that was a great twist.
Yeah.
That's a fun twist. I like that one.
And I wanted what that storyline provided a couple things. One, I thought was an interesting story to have this, person who was an orphan. You find out she was an orphan, but not exactly what we thought. But also, I thought what she brings is what the the two sisters, Lillian and Grace, had, right? Where she had the experience. She can speak to that, and that's what our Nora recognizes in Eleanor, is that she does have this real. She can really add to our household, but just from her experience. So I thought that was going to be an interesting going forward, and to watch her sort of mature in this community, I think would be a lot of fun.
And we love Eleanor. We love Eleanor. But yeah, Nora, it turns out she brings her sister from San Francisco. It turns out she has some kind of secret Hugo. I mean, like, she's upset. Yeah. I'm like, wait, I didn't expect that either. Like, wait a minute, what's going on there? So I'm like, I thought it was a great 6 episodes. I thought it was great fun. You guys did a great job. It looks beautiful. Brookfield is it is very distinctive town compared to the other town. It's very different. And you guys are like 1920, 1921, I guess. 21.
Yeah, like 20, yeah.
It's not as crowded as some of the other towns we've seen. Like it's getting there. Get to see Joe and his story. He's still there. And we got to see Debbie. And there's people like that are there, and the ranchers and all that. But you can tell it's a very distinct town. I love it.
And that's what I wanted to do with this. When I created When Hope Calls while I was running When Calls the Heart, and I wanted it to be, have some of the same DNA, but have its own sort of feel. And what this town ultimately is, it's 19, both towns are 1920, but one town is more advanced 1920, and this town is, and there were towns like this, obviously. The phone's not there yet because, and they talk about it in the series, that it's just too small, right? And I wanted the town to have an industry different than, like in What Calls the Heart, the industry was initially coal and then it became lumber.
Right.
But we could never show that because of where we were located. We can't show the industry. We just could only hint at it. But here we can actually show what the industry is, which is cattle, right? So it makes, and you can see that it is, just not as advanced. It's not, as big, and people are still trying to, grow in this community. So that's what some of the distinctions I had between the two towns. And I think I really like this version where we can show a emerging town, but still very much much more horse than car.
I love horses, so that's why it works for me. I love horses. I'm an equine person. I love horses, but no, yeah, it is much more horse. Like I said, it's not as it's advanced in some ways, not as advanced in other ways. But I like it's fine. It's totally fine. That part. I know we don't probably don't know nothing, but I mean, we're hoping for season 3. I mean,
Yeah, that'd be nice.
I hope I'm saying out loud. I'm saying out loud. Having season 3. Bill, come on, Bill. Let's do it. Season 3. Somebody. Season 3. Do you go just on the side, or do you have things kind of planned? If season 3 happens, you already kind of know what you want to do.
Well, because it ends on
Yeah,
on a cliffhanger, I definitely know, I have sort of thoughts on where I take that cliffhanger, which will be fun. And yeah, I do have some other ideas where I want to take, like, Sam is now a man of means, and what's going to happen with him and the town. How does he impact the town with his newfound wealth, and how does the town, change him, or, just the, with wealth comes a different kind of stuff.
right here. I know. Yeah. But I'm bumps. Oh yeah, no, it is. Well, that's what his story actually was funny, but also heartwarming. It was like he was trying to find his place in there, and just like, well, I'll try this, I'll do this, I'll try that. He was trying things. It was really hilarious. He was allergic to hay, or he can't do it. It was kind of fun. And having Maggie's parents in the beginning set the tone of like why you went there, like all this kind of stuff. You should leave, and I thought it was great. I thought that was wonderful. We're showing this. We're invested in this couple. I'm invested in them. I mean, I'm sure the Sherlock's are too. And I want to. And if there's season 3, I want to see more of that, obviously. And I won't say anything else. I want to see more of that. But there are a couple. There are definitely a couple to root for, and it's cool that she's and she handles all. She's a nurse. She handles everybody in town, and then her and Nora became friends. I like that, and so it's good. I just feel like you seamlessly brought us a new season of the show. It was pretty seamless. I think it was pretty seamless. So congratulations.
Thank you.
Well, folks, that's all the time we got. I want to thank Alfonso for coming on the show, and we're hoping for season 3, of course, and that happens. But whatever you do, Alfonso, we follow you. Whatever you do next, obviously we'll be following you. I'm sure you got all kinds of ideas out there. I'm sure.
Yeah, but obviously we're all hoping for for season 3. It'd be fantastic.
Yes, folks, we're gonna pray for it. If people want to talk to you, or finally can they talk to you out in the universe anywhere?
Someone asked me that. I'm not on social media.
Yeah, you're not. She's not on social media. So I guess watch the show, comment on the show, and that's like talking to them. That's the thing. We want success with this show, be successful. And like I said, I watched it on PureFlix. That's how I watched it, and it was great. There's other great shows on there too. So I was telling you, just watch it. Great American Family has some great TV. So just go on there and just watch it. That's talking to him right there, like that. Or you tell me, talk to me, and I'll talk to him. That's how we'll do that. So, folks, thanks for watching the show. This is the When Hope Calls After Show here on JLJ Media. You can follow me everywhere. I'm all over the place. You can follow me and talk to me. Everyone have a great week. We'll talk to you next time.
Thank you.